February 1954. The world stands frozen under the iron grip of the Cold War. Nuclear silos hum in the deserts of America, and above them, in the silent black of the night sky, something begins to move. That winter, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander in World War II, now President of the United States, arrives in Palm Springs for what the press calls a vacation. But behind the press photos, the smile, the golf clubs, something more extraordinary is about to unfold. Because on the night of February 20th, Eisenhower disappeared for hours. No public appearances, no press briefings, and the official reason? A chipped tooth. A visit to a dentist. The unofficial story? Far stranger. A midnight ride to Edwards Air Force Base. Not for a filling, but for a meeting. A meeting with beings from another world. The early 1950s, an era of soaring confidence and underlying dread. America had emerged victorious from a global war, only to inherit a far more invisible threat, the atomic bomb, the unknown, the extraterrestrial. UFO sightings surged, metallic discs over New Mexico, unexplained radar blips over Washington, D.C. The newly inaugurated Eisenhower inherited not just a country at peace, but one under surveillance, and one being watched. The government launched Project Blue Book to investigate flying saucer reports. The CIA quietly studied public reactions to the possibility of alien life. And across smoky bars and kitchen tables, a suspicion grew. They know. It's this climate of secrecy and anxiety that sets the stage for what happens next. It was just before midnight. A convoy rolled out of Palm Springs under an armed escort heading to Edwards. The desert night swallowed the vehicles. On the tarmac under high security, a small group assembled. Military scientists, intelligence officers, translator-like figures. Then, from the dark sky, a craft. No engines roaring, no wings flapping. It descended silently, hovered. It landed. From its doors emerged beings unlike any human. Tall, pale, human-like, but with hair as white as the moonlight sand. Eyes glowing faintly with an olive luminescence. UFO researchers calling them Nordics. They claimed to come from a nearby star system. They said humanity stood at the age of destruction. Our atomic weapons, our violence, our arrogance would invite catastrophe. They offered help, spiritual guidance, scientific insight, moral options. But there was a condition. The United States must disarm its nuclear arsenal. A gamble. A demand. Eisenhower listened, but he refused. He believed in strength, defense, the Cold War logic. The Nordics departed silently, peacefully, and by dawn, the president was back in Palm Springs, smiling for cameras as though nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. The public explanation? A dental emergency. A chipped tooth fixed at a local dentist. Conveniently, the dentist's records have since disappeared. Stories like this don't survive without witnesses. Over the years, a handful emerged. Gerard Light, a writer with Washington connections, claimed that he was personally briefed by those present. 5 ships, Eisenhower meeting the visitors face to face. Then there's Charles L. Suggs, a naval commander who allegedly told his son he was part of the security detail that night, and that the beings looked so much like us, it was hard to tell the difference. Different voices, different details, but the same moment, February 1954. To believers, a confirmation. To skeptics, a tapestry of Cold War paranoia and myth-making. But the legend didn't end with that first night. A second chapter emerged, a darker one. Months later, it is said another craft landed, this time a Hollow Man Air Force base in New Mexico. The visitors were different, smaller, greyer, colder, the so-called Greys. They offered technology in exchange for permission to study humanity, not openly, but in secret. It became known in UFO circles as the Gradar Treaty. According to believers, the US agreed access for research in exchange for advanced tech, radar, fiber optics, microchips, and silence, abductions, genetic experiments, cattle mutilations followed. For skeptics, it is pure myth, but for those who believe, they say this is the moment humanity surrendered its independence for progress. Officially, Eisenhower never said a word. No mention in his memoirs, no trace in declassified files. When questioned, the White House issued a statement about a chipped tooth, signed by a dentist whose records vanished. The visit to Edwards never logged, no flight manifests, no public orders, and yet, decades later, researchers uncovered unusual communications between Air Force, CIA, and the White House staff from that very week. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or part of a hidden web. The power of silence becomes the power of suspicion. Whether the encounter happened or not, it changed how we looked at power and disguise. The 1950s and 60s UFO craze exploded. From Roswell, New Mexico, to kitchen table abductee stories, to Hollywood films where governments guard cosmic secrets. Every administration since has waves of whistleblowers asking what does the president know that we don't, from John F. Kennedy allegedly asking about UFO files, to Richard Nixon's rumoured chat with Jackie Gleason about alien bodies. All of it traces back to that winter night in 1954, when a president vanished and a myth was born. Maybe Eisenhower truly vanished that night. Maybe it was just a chipped tooth and a routine dental visit. Maybe the story found its form in the cracks between what was told and what we wanted to believe. But whatever the case, the legend endures, because it probes something ancient in us, our fear of power, our hunger for meaning, and the quiet, stubborn question, are we alone? Under the threat of annihilation, the idea that someone greater may care enough to intervene wasn't terrifying, it was comforting. And perhaps that's why this story survives. Not because it proves we're not alone, but because it whispers that for one fleeting moment in 1954, Earth wasn't just a planet under watch, it was part of a conversation. In the end, the truth about that night may never surface, but the myth is etched into the modern world. A president, a secret meeting, and the possibility that for one night, humanity was listened to.